Hi, I'm Linnea Quigley, the Scream Queen, and you're listening to the Tim O and Harley Show.
Welcome to the Tim O and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to Tim O and Harley Show. I am Tim O. Over there is my partner in mind crime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben Hard Hat Harley.
That's me.
Get that lunch pail out and your hard hat.
There we go.
Throw some hot rivets around on the top of the building.
Just don't drop any down your pants.
Yeah. Mr. Ben Harley, how the hell are you?
I'm doing okay, Tim. I'm all right.
All right. Yeah. A lot of work.
Yeah, I'm old, but still good looking. I tell myself that.
All right. Well, good to hear. Good to hear. That's something you never want to hear when someone tells you that they're, well, I'm still good looking. Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, it's good to hear.
Yeah.
Okay. I tell myself that.
Right.
Somebody's got to do it.
A couple announcements here, Mr. Ben Harley. I'd like to remind everybody, October 21st at Blueberry Hill in the Duck Room. Based on Blueberry Hill, we're going to Ultraman, the punk band that I perform in, will be playing with Mike Watt of Fire Hose and Minutemen fame. And, I watched a concert on Amazon Prime, and it was the Stooges. Okay. And it was Mike Watt playing bass. Believe it or not. Yeah. So there's a little Mike Watt action for you. I'll have to look that up on the Amazon Prime.
I might have seen that.
Maybe. Okay, well, that was him because I recognized him right away. I was like, oh, that's Mike Watt. And I don't know how all this punk rock guys, it is what it is. He became legendary somehow. I don't know. With Iggy Pop, you just look at him. You can kind of tell.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
anyway, smear yourself in peanut butter and walk across the crowd. Things are going to happen for you.
I've been telling my kids that forever. Let's see. Moving on, Mr. Ben Harris. We got that October 21st. It's a Monday, man. A Monday. I'm rocking on Monday. We're going to have to reschedule our regularly scheduled recording on that Tuesday morning, I think. Let's see. Moving forward.
Too much rock.
Yes. So then up November 29th, Black Friday at the pageant. Ooh. My other rock and roll outfit, Fragile Porcelain Mice, will be playing with The Urge.
Wow. Okay.
So that'll be a good thing. So
that'll be a doozy.
It will be a doozy, but I have an announcement that's even more of a doozy. It's going to make the pageant show with The Urge more of a doozy. How about that? Because
sure.
I like to make an announcement now, Mr. Ben Harley, that around that time, around November 29th, I'd say like maybe that week of or week before, if you are a weekly listener to the show, it's time to get on your fatigues. It's time to put on your orange vests.
Your fatigues,
It's time to hunker down just as daylight breaks. As the morning dew settles across the countryside, and you pull out your call. We have a Hicks season upon us.
Yeah, nice.
Yes.
All right.
Danny Hicks for Evil Dead 2, Darkman Intruder will be once again our third wheel in Mind Crime, our co-host. Coming up I'd say, as you listen to the show, they'll start airing later November.
Yeah.
So, at least a couple weeks, at least for a couple of shows. So we're going to have a Hicks season once again. Mr. Ben Harley, that means...
Does Danny know this still?
Oh, shh, don't tell him this stuff.
We
just buy him tickets and take advantage of his aging years, okay?
He's like, oh, God, I got to go do another one of the shows. Well, it is worth the trip. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's coming out to hang out at the NGO. Nobody cares about me anyway. So But yes. I got my Hicks call ready to go.
Good.
Yes. So last year I accidentally shot a couple grouse, and I meant to be shooting Hicks, but
we're like, whoops. Yeah.
So, but yes. So that'll
maybe he'll make it through this year again.
Well, I hope so. Yeah. So we got all that stuff coming up, Mr. Ben Harley. Let's see. Run through a few movies watched here.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's go through some of this stuff. How about this? From 2002,
Ooh.
All right. Now, I have this on digital video disc, otherwise known as DVD, but it happens to also be on Amazon Prime, so I took a look at it there. It's a movie called Death Watch.
Death Watch.
And it is a film about World War I Allied soldiers who get kind of lost. And they end up in enemy trenches. These trenches are like the maze in The Shining, almost in a way.
Oh, okay.
So you have a psychological horror film in some trenches, and like the barbed wire kind of comes to life. It's a little subtle, even a little subtle for my tastes.
Yeah.
But when I watched this the first time, I didn't enjoy it very much back in 2002, and I think I appreciate it a little bit more now. It stars Jamie Bell, who is a, I guess, fairly well-known actor these days. Anyway, so not too bad. Okay.
Yeah. What's it called again, buddy?
It's called Death Watch. One word, Death Watch. Yeah, you might enjoy it a little bit. It's interesting.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look at it. We'll see.
A lot of dirty people, muddy, dirty people.
Well, then Rob Zombie got it.
Right. Let's see. From 2000, went back a couple years of 2000, watched the television movie The Three Stooges.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the biography on the Three Stooges. Now, this looks, tastes, and smells like the Monkees biography.
Yes.
Movie made in 2000. And I'm pretty sure it might have been some of the same people involved, if not even at least the same network.
Director?
It might be. I don't know. I didn't really look that deep into it. Just really wanted to watch the movie. It is produced by Mel Gibson.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. Let's see here. Joel Egerton's in it. He became kind of a famous guy. Michael Chiklis plays Curly.
Yep, he sure does.
Yeah, and then one thing I did forget was John Kassir, who does a lot of the conventions, plays Shemp.
Oh, okay.
I'm not too much into his Shemp performance because he never goes out as Shemp.
Yeah.
And like what I appreciate about this movie, it is a made-for-television biography.
I kind of like it. It's not bad.
I've
only seen it once.
Okay.
I've only seen it once, and I enjoyed it. It kind of... I felt bad. I felt bad for the Stooges.
Well, it's
a little bit, but then at the end, they show which I really appreciated, the syndication.
Yeah, and then they went back out live and they did the movies finally, and then they were doing more live shows, which is where they made their bread and butter, was their live performances throughout their entire career. Anyway,
boy, did they get shit on!
Sure they did. Yeah, and
much money they made for that fucking
right. Oh, you're exactly right. Now I read a Mo autobiography and also read a big biography on Curly, believe it or not. So I did read a couple of these books. I'm very aware of the Three Stooges. Huge Three Stooges fan.
Yeah.
I can tell you this movie, as far as made for television movies go, I'd say it might be almost as accurate as the Monkees movie, where they're throwing everything in there that you know about. They might rearrange the time period, they might combine a few things, but it's pretty much there.
I feel for Mo after watching it a little bit. You feel for Mo a lot, and Mo's always been my favorite Stooge, which is weird because I don't know anybody whose favorite Stooge is Mo but me, really. And
you're the heel.
I just, know, but and not to take anything away from Mo, because I think Mo is the best, but it's just, I felt for him, man, especially being the older brother, and he tried so hard to take care of everything. And, man, it showed I liked it. I mean, as far as the movie goes, I'd have to go back and watch it. I know it was kind of, it is what it is. It's made for television. But I kind of enjoyed it. I kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So
Well, in this show, and I liked it. What it showed is why people, like, for instance, a lot of, and I know this is a curious thing for a lot of people, but someone who's a huge Stooge fan like myself, a lot of us, our favorite Stooge is Shemp.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand that. I think Shemp is hilarious.
I do too.
I also think Curly's hilarious.
He's a great actor.
And Larry and Mo, they're all funny as shit. I think they're all funny. But Shemp was my favorite. And it's not because he was the first. It's almost like if you watch the Curly era, the end of it's horrible. Because Curly had already been getting sick. He wasn't taking care of himself. And he was a shell of who he used to be. Shemp being the original and being a brother as well. Now, Larry was the guy who wasn't a brother. He was a buddy of theirs. And so, they met him in vaudeville. And so Shemp, when he came in, it actually put a lot of life back into the Stooges for the short time that he came back before he passed away. Because he came back in comfortable. But he was a more nervous guy. But Kassir kind of overdid him in the movie, I think. And who knows?
Yeah, they showed him like a total nervous wreck, man.
Yeah, I never read that he was that bad. That was an exaggeration of his personality. And what I liked about the TV movie is that when the guys are just themselves, I think the actors do a great job of playing Moe, Larry, and Curly as off camera. Moe, Larry, and Curly. Mm-hmm. On camera, they're okay. They're okay. All right. Yeah, but nobody's going to be as good as they are on camera. So who cares about that?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But anyways, interesting to watch the movie. I actually purchased it on Amazon. It's not on Prime or anything right now, but I'll keep everybody updated if it does come up on Prime. You can purchase it. It only like $6 or $7 to buy it. To buy a stream of it on Amazon, so I watched it.
It's worth it. It's decent. I mean, especially if you like the Stooges or documentary type stuff,
right?
Or docudrama.
Sure. Let's see, Mr. Ben Harley. Moving on. Yeah. Let's see. These are newer color movies. So from 1994. What?
You feeling okay?
Well, you're gonna question that even more when I tell you what I watched here. Boy. But from 1994, I wasted an entire weekend night on Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm watching this, all right, and let's just put it to you this way: the only reason this happened is because I got it from Netflix. I didn't pay for it or do it. I got it from Netflix, and I'm looking at it going, I hadn't seen it since it came out.
Yeah,
and I didn't like it at all.
Yeah,
at all.
I think I watched it once.
It got the public ready for sparkly vampires.
Yes.
So
love, Harlequin romance.
Well, yeah, and a little bit of man on man thing going on now. So you got Tom Cruise, who do I have to tell you I can't stand Tom Cruise? Like, I don't know. Tom Cruise, I think made one good movie, which is All the Right Moves, and then he made another good movie that no one's seen called Losing It, with Shelley Long in it, where they go down to Tijuana. And I think I've seen that. Okay, yeah. And then All the Right Moves was the high school football movie with Craig T. Nelson, which is great. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is
love that movie. Yeah. But so I don't like Tom Cruise. Now, I do kind of like Brad Pitt. So as soon as I started watching this movie, I looked over to Angie. Oh, poor thing. I think she liked it more than me. Now, when you got guys rolling on each other, you can imagine a woman might like it more than me. I'm sitting there watching it. I look over to Angie. I was like, this Brad Pitt could not have been enjoying this at all.
Yeah.
Could not have been enjoying it. I can't believe that him and Tom Cruise even want to be in the same room together, much as roll all over each other and be vampiric together and stuff. Well, after we watched the movie, I did indeed dig around, and I found one little tidbit. I'm sure they've kept this hidden. One little tidbit where Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt did not get along because Tom Cruise said Brad Pitt didn't wear deodorant. His pits were bad.
The pit smelled like the pits.
Yeah, he had BO. And he got mad and he told Brad Pitt he had to wear deodorant. I'm like, that probably wasn't a great relationship there behind the scenes. I gotta think. It's all I had to figure out. It's just a icky, just stupid movie. I don't like anything that has anything to do with this. Mr. Ben Harley, I ate the Impossible Patty and said I quit eating things that began with the letter I. After watching this movie, I almost said I'm not watching any movies beginning with the letter I anymore either. But I immediately broke rank with that and threw in the 1958 It, The Terror from Beyond Space.
Oh, yeah.
Starring Marshall Thompson of Bog fame.
Yeah, it really sent you over the edge, didn't it?
I had to get in there to wash my mind of all that. What I love about It, The Terror from Beyond Space, and it's pretty clear when you watch the movie, it's set in 1973.
Yeah.
The year I was born. All that shit was going on the year I was born. That's amazing. I didn't know what was going on. I had no idea. I didn't know the world was so black and white in 73 also, but
that's funny.
I had fun watching it. How can you not have fun watching it, The Terror from Beyond Space? So all I do is sit there and talk about how it influenced Alien and movies like that. Let's see. And then another I movie, Mr. Ben Harley. This one from 2014.
What?
We watched the movie It Follows. Okay. From 2014. Now, this movie was it's pretty popular when it came out. I think it was actually made to go straight to digital and stuff, but it got such a good reaction they gave it a theatrical run. Okay. Our buddy Bob Kurtzman did some work on this movie, which is always cool to see. Yeah. When it came out, it had a lot of people saying that it had a lot of Halloween in it. And watching it, I don't disagree with that. I don't know if you've seen this or not. I think you might like it.
I've heard stuff about it. People are like, well, you haven't seen that yet? I'm like, no, I haven't.
Well, it's a mild curse movie. They don't really give you a whole lot of info on the thing, but what they basically say is, if you're cursed, this thing is following you.
Ooh,
now, you don't know. It can look like your friend. It can look like a stranger, a man, a woman, old, young. But what you know is it's following you, and you can pick it out of a crowd. It's coming right straight for you. So basically, if you are cursed with this thing walks slowly, like slower than Michael Myers toward you. So you can drive to another state and have a couple of days like of peace, but it's walking right towards you. And so if you stay there for more than a few days, you look out the window and it's like a dead-faced person walking straight towards your face. Okay. And the way and you have to pass the curse on to someone else by having sex with them. So it's a little bit of a sexually transmitted disease metaphor, I guess, if you will. But it's not bad because there is a lot of Halloween to it. It has a lot of Halloween influence as far as how it's shot, the mood of the movie, and everything. The music, I do like the music because it is reminiscent of Halloween, but doesn't rip it off except for one little coda, one little part. One little part was too Halloween. I was like, nah, that sounds just like Halloween a little bit. But the rest of it was good because it was influenced, not ripping off. And I do appreciate that. Not bad.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, for 2014, this is not a bad movie. It's okay. It's all right. If I'll watch
I have to look it up.
Yeah,
I have to look it up. Definitely have to look into it.
It's worth looking into. So let's see here, Mr. Ben Harley. Two more flicks. One from 1945. Watch the movie Dead of Night, which was the old British anthology movie, famous for having the horror story with the dummy.
Oh yeah,
with the ventriloquist. Or whatever. And it's a good old anthology movie. What sets it apart. First of all, it's basically a prototype movie of these sorts of films. Second of all, it's really the wraparound story that keeps it glued. And that's not very normal for these types of movies at all. So very good. Once again, Dead of Night came out last year on Blu-ray on Kino. Now, last up, Mr. Ben Harley, from 1979. And I told you a couple weeks ago that I watched Zombie 3, right? And tried to explain to you there is no Zombie 2. Unless you're in America, if you're in Europe, it gets really strange and weird and everything else. So I went back from 1979 and watched the Lucio Fulci movie, Zombie. The granddaddy of the Italian horror film. Not even the granddaddy, but the granddaddy as far as quality. Movies. This is a good movie. It's a very, look, Italian zombie movies, Italian cannibal movies, Italian giallo movies, gialli, whatever you can call them.
Yeah.
I mean, they all have their things about them that are cool, that are kitsch, that are neat, that are gross, that to push the envelope. This is a good movie. Yeah. I mean, it's a damn good movie. It's got a good cast. Look, first of all, Richard Johnson. Dick Wanker, as I was calling him when we were watching it. Oh, Dick Wanker. He is a star of it, also the star of the original The Haunting. So you get not only one British guy, but you also get Ian McCulloch in it. Now, Ian McCulloch played in a lot of these films too, and everything. Yeah. And Al Cleaver, depending on what you want to call him, who was he was in a lot of his Italian movies. Apparently, it was a blessing that they always overdubbed him. Because even though he was Italian, his acting was about as wooden as a table, according to what I've heard. Like his emoting is great, so he's good when he's overdubbed. But apparently, his arms are flailing around, going, "Help me! There is a monster." So apparently it wasn't that bad. It was horrible. That bad. What was cool about it? So we watched that. And it was a lot of fun. What was cool about it is that they had some extra features, and I did not remember the extra features on this disc. I believe it came out like 2012, 2011, or something like that. The Blu-ray and a lot of the special features were shot at Cinema Wasteland up by you. Yeah. So they had a little wraparound piece, even had a little wraparound piece where our buddy Scott, Jaegerman Scott.
Yeah.
When they had him as one of the zombies, they had a little reenactment of a scene from Zombie in the parking lot. At Cinema Wasteland, he was one of the zombies. I thought it was kind of fun. I was like, hey, there's Scott.
That is fun. That's awesome.
Yeah. This is a fun movie though, Mr. Ben Harley. There was a story I was telling you off camera too, which was kind of funny, that they were talking about Lucio Fulci because he's got an up and down reputation. Okay, so he wasn't easy to work for all the time, but he was one of those guys. If he liked you or respected you, he was real easy on you. And if you were like a newbie, or if you were someone he knew, he just treated you like dog shit. Especially women, apparently, really bad. Really bad. Yeah, it was like almost. It sounded like it was as bad as Kubrick treated Shelley Duvall in The Shining, which is legendary to get her to get that performance. Yeah. Okay. So Richard Johnson said, I thought he was wonderful. He's like, I thought he was great. He goes, but I did see him actually throw himself down on the ground and start eating dirt after yelling at an actor. And he said, if I do not eat the dirt, I eat you.
You're next.
Yeah, it's like Italians have a strange sense of humor and argument strategies there. I'm not really sure that one worked for me. But anyway, good time watching that. I highly recommend. If anybody hasn't seen Zombie for whatever reason, it is gory and gross, but there's a lot worse. And this movie really did have some money involved in it. It was a big production. Some of it is shot in New York. And I dare to say some of it wasn't even voiced over. I think some of the scenes were actually shot using actual audio, which is rare in Italian cinema back then. Just a few, not all of them. Just some of the scenes. So, but Richard Johnson and Ian McCulloch, at least Dick Wanker and Ian McCulloch, at least are voicing themselves over, which is a nice change of pace.
Yeah.
So after my Lucio Fulci zombie extravaganza there, Mr. Ben Harley, that's all I got. That's all I got. Now I heard that you guys went off, and even though me and Angie didn't come up this month, you guys went ahead and had a wrestling event anyway, even though I wasn't there. How the hell did that happen?
Yeah, well, in your honor, the fact that we tried to press forward. But you were missed though, Tim. I must say you were missed. But yes, we had a little wrestling show.
Did you guys order an extra Long Island tea beforehand just to commemorate my missing this?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because we went there first and had some drink and some food, and then went back, got the clowns all dressed, and then we went back. I took them back there.
Oh Jesus!
And, I tell you what, Timo. People are strange, okay? And it's
especially
coming
ones
from
that dress
a guy.
like clowns.
It's coming from a guy who's got a fez and leading clowns down the street in the middle of the day to the bar, from the wrestling show to the bar before our match. So I guess I shouldn't be talking. But these people pulled up like it was a husband and wife, or whatever. But they're like, oh, here, scare the girls, and they had their two daughters in the back seat and want us to scare them. And oh my God, the one girl was so scared. She was literally crying. She was bawling. And I was like,
which makes you feel not very cool anymore, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm thinking to myself, and the mom's like, thank you. I was like, okay. I'm thinking, what the hell just happened? You know what
Parenting
I mean? Like,
101, right?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I was like, oh, they must have had it coming, huh? So,
well, we let her out twice a year. And she, I noticed the bruises on her wrists. Yes.
So we just don't want her to ever want to come outside ever again, right? So
there you go.
But so I took them into the lounge area, and had another Long Island. I did, the clowns didn't. So but
I'm sure I'd want to wrestle the clowns after a couple of those nights. Might blow a
They're
spot at the wrong
enough.
moment.
So, but yes, we ended up taking on Madman Fulton and Andy Shane again, which ended up in double disqualification.
Oh no, not one of those deals.
Yeah, so we'll be facing them next month in a lumberjack match, which just means that I'm going to have to buy some red suspenders and a flannel, and I'll be all ready to go.
Do me a favor and come out to the lumberjack song from Monty Python.
There you go,
Blared over. I'm a lumberjack. Please. Please do that.
So, yes, but a decent enough match, Timo. Okay. But,
Good crowd?
Good. And a couple new faces, which was nice to see too. And but it was sad that Timo, Ange, and Chance couldn't be there. So.
Yeah, well,
it's okay though.
Well, we
always next year.
There's only so much of us to go around. We spread our fairy dust all over it to give it the goodwill, and there you go.
And you did.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah,
and you did.
So we'll be back. We'll be back.
Oh yeah.
What you got? What you got to watch?
Well, I'm gonna start with a couple things real quick. I'll try to work this into the horror stuff. Now, Timo, you might know a little bit more about this, and I apologize because I was really big into the space program as a kid, but this particular thing that happened in our history happened 373 days before I was born. So I didn't get to see it.
Okay.
But I'm talking about the moon landing, Apollo 11. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know, Timo, and I can't remember, and I apologize to the listeners and to you. Now, I don't know if this was already a movie beforehand, and they just re-released it and cleaned it up, or just made this a documentary about the Apollo 11. It's just a documentary.
Is it called Apollo 11?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And it just came out. It just came out because of the 50-year anniversary.
I think it was a new documentary, but of course, it's all old footage, of course.
Yeah. But man, Timo, it blew my socks off because it looks. And for me, I love watching stuff about the time period about when I was born.
Sure.
And around that time period, because I like to look at the things visually. And some of it makes me go, holy crap, I feel old. Like, look at these people.
Right.
I was like, look at that guy. Like, he looks like ancient. And I'm like, oh, Ben, you were born that year. Like, oh, God. Like, look at that footage. Like, that looks like the 50s. Like, no, that's 71. Like, ooh, wow. Right. But this didn't, Timo. This was like as clean as you could make it. I mean, there's parts that you couldn't clean it up anymore. It's just impossible. You know what I mean? You can tell. It's worth a look-see, buddy. It just, for me, it gave me, it was awe-inspiring. It was like watching a movie, the way they did it, the documentary style. I learned a lot that, like, my little dumb brain, I was like, wait, what? Oh, duh. You know, and I thought I knew space program pretty well, but like, some of that stuff I just don't. I'm not a engineer, so you are, Tim.
There was a movie.
That's your gig. Yeah.
There was a movie that came out about 10, 15 years ago called For All of Mankind.
Yeah.
And it was a similar like watershed type of moon landing film where it was all told. The story was told visually completely through edited together NASA footage.
It's basically just the launch, a couple hours before the launch, them getting ready, and then the launch, and then them getting into orbit here, and then the orbit and the moon. And because this is how dumb I was, even I'm like, and I guarantee you 95% of the people think the same way. Like, they didn't just shoot from here and go right to the moon. No. We had to get to orbit first. We went around the Earth a few times to build up speed, and then you shoot off.
Right.
And I was like, duh. I was like, oh my God, man. Like, oh, duh.
We barely have enough power to break the atmosphere to get out of out of the Earth's gravitational field. So where you get to that point, where you can actually orbit. And then what they do is they take the gravity of a planet or a moon or something, and they use it to slingshot. Something like a space capsule to get the speed and the right. But boy, talk about engineering. That's a lot of delicate math.
Yeah. Oh, and
you know what a Mr.
And they were like, I think they were 4 minutes early to get to the moon, which was cool, and they are also like where they were supposed to land. They're like, no, we had to overshoot it a little bit because if not, we were going to be in a crater.
Yeah, it's like a crater with boulders in it.
Yeah. They're like, wait, no, we got to. That's what they said. Well, that's why we took a little extra. Sorry, we didn't mean to scare you guys, but we had to take a little extra time to go over top of.
Right.
But that's what was cool about the whole thing, and I think that's why you might enjoy this because you have to like these things and be mildly interested or you're going to tune out.
Right.
But I mean, it was visually so awesome. It felt like you were there that day. And for me, it was, I even felt the anxieties of Armstrong and them guys like, God, man, this could be it. We're going on top of a bomb right now. We're sitting on top of a bomb and this could be it for us.
Oh, God,
and I was even nervous for those guys watching them. And I could tell for the first time, like, watching it, how clear it was and stuff. Like, these guys are nervous, man. They're nervous, and
people
this is it.
People look at like the launch pad and stuff, and what they see, almost like what you're saying, people think they just go to point A to point B when they're.
No.
Well, what they also see is they see this giant spaceship. No, this spaceship is this little bitty thing on the top of a giant fucking rocket designed to destroy people.
Yeah.
Instead of it going back down and destroying people, it's just going straight into the atmosphere and out of it. You know, so
when you hit ignition, they're dumping, and you can see it. A waterfall of fuel that comes dumping out, and they light that stuff and whoosh, you know, you're like, oh, well,
isn't it also like frozen nitrogen that's falling off of the side of the side of the rocket too, because they're trying to cool it enough not to explode before it gets off the ground. So when you're looking at it, if you ever notice, it looks like snow's falling off of it. Well, it sort of is. It's snow made of liquid nitrogen. You know, but I'm just it's nuts.
You'd enjoy this. Watch it, because from an engineering standpoint, it's just, you know, how the hell, man, to fake that just blows my mind. Why would you build a 300-foot damn rocket and do all these things with all the smartest people in the world to fake it?
Yes, look,
to fake it, man.
What happened was there is a confusion going on, because the real problem is that people that they just like today, if you're watching let's say you're watching Discovery Channel and they're talking about a mission they're planning to Mars, like with a rover, and they will show you CG, they will show you that rover that's still being built land on Mars and what it's going to do. They made a film strip, basically like a educational film, almost like a industrial film, like Danny Hicks used to make for General Motors and stuff. So they made these films to show the public and to show the people working on it. This is what we're doing. This is what we're going to have. And some of that was also done for the moon landing. They did take the moon car, the moon mobiles and all that, and drive around deserts and do things. And yes, they did shoot stuff. It doesn't mean they didn't actually go. And I think that some of the shots people have found spliced in with some of the real footage. And they say that's proof. It's not proof. It's a question. No. Why did you put that in there? And somebody might say, we didn't have good footage of it, or it wasn't there, so we just threw that in there. Doesn't mean we didn't go. It didn't do it. And I think that there's people, look, there's a couple of things that just puts the nail in the coffin to anybody who thinks that we faked the moon landing, okay? One of them is, well, we put mirrors up there because they were tracking the distance of the moon because it's floating away from us 1 inch every year. Eventually, the moon is going to go so far away that the Earth is going to start wobbling in bad ways. Luckily, we'll probably be gone by then. I'll say sayonara to all you crazy people. I'm going to leave on this planet. But the thing is, the other thing is, who do you think, Ben Harley, you're a smart guy. All right. Sort of. You've been down in the weeds a few times. You might have tried to sneak something around somebody or done something. Who is the one entity that would bust out the United States for faking the moon landing?
Russia.
Thank you.
That's what I was thinking this whole time. Like when I'm watching these people in the crowd and stuff, because they did. They even had Johnny Carson walking up to the grandstand to watch this thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it was just like an everyday people, and then people sitting in their cars camping out to watch.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like, I'm thinking to myself, I wonder how many Russians were out there. And I swear to God, I thought that, dude. I was like, I wonder how many people were out there posing just to watch this. And all of them.
Right.
Still, to this day. You know what I'm saying? So, like, all our missions. So, but I'm just thinking, that's one of the first things that came to my mind. And it's like, but yeah.
Well, what people don't understand is that the United States observed Russia.
Yes.
And Russia had a rover on the moon, I think.
They were kicking ass.
Yeah, I mean, they had a rover on the moon.
In the space program.
Yeah, I believe it was maybe even before we got there. They had a rover. It only worked for a second, but it worked for a second. And that was a big deal.
It made it.
Yes, the problem was once someone stepped foot, that was it. That was like everything else was add-ons at that point. But we watched Russia watch them physically through telescopes and shit. We watched the shit they did. They watched what we did. If we would have faked that, even if they knew we didn't fake it, but there was enough evidence to make it look like we did, they would have thrown that shit in there to begin with anyway. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
And I just think that people, and there is a place, I can't remember where it is. So forgive me. Okay. So I don't have this. I didn't know we were going to be talking about this. I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah.
There's a research center where they actually still to this day take measurements off those mirrors that we put on the moon. Yeah. And so I watched a documentary one time about the moon landing, and the interviewer asked the person, well, why do people think that we faked it then? How did we get the mirrors there? And the gentleman said, I don't know. They've never come to ask me. I mean, what a comeback.
Yeah, exactly.
What a fucking comeback. It's, I don't know. They never come and ask me. They don't want to ask me. They don't want to know the fucking answer, you know? And it's just like it's like a revisionist kind of history. Yeah. It's like you throw things in there because you want to be the smartest person in the room, or you want to act like you're James Bond. You got to figure it out. No, that's not. Look, 9/11 was not an inside job. The Russians didn't elect Donald Trump. I mean, it's just, these are all just distractions. It's kind of insulting to me in a way.
Yeah. You know? Well, that's why I started to really, and I had to put it out of my mind because while I was watching it, I'm like, well, look at this. Look at this. And I mean, the only thing they don't show you, Timo, believe it or not, which I was a little disappointed is when it pops up off of the moon, it doesn't really show you your views from inside when it pops off instead of, which whatever, man. Other than that, you see everything that they did, every maneuver. Some of them they speed it up a little bit because it would take an hour to watch,
right?
To just that maneuver, you know what I'm saying? Right. So like they sped some of it up, or they would show, but it was like, and for me visually, I could tell things from certain periods of time because of the way it was shot or color tones and things like that. And you could tell this is still from that time period. They just cleaned it up so brilliantly that you feel like you're there. Plus, I guarantee nowadays they put a little more of the 3D into it. So you feel a little bit more like when you're actually in the command center, you feel like you're in the command center a lot of times because of the way it's shot. You feel like you're literally sitting there with these guys. Right, it's really cool. So for me, that's what was neat about it. It was like watching it for the first time. And that's why I was so inspired by this. Like just the thing taking off for me was just like, this is awesome. And you know why, Timo? Because I haven't had that feeling since the space shuttle blew up when I was 16 years old. I have not had that feeling. And it hurts me because I love the space program. So it does hurt me too to be like, oh, fake. Man, it would have cost as much to fake that stupid thing as it would have to do it. So don't tell me like back then, come on, man. I don't care what you say. Oh, they put it on a giant studio and they did baloney. Why would you build a giant spaceship and fill it full of all this stuff and shoot it into space and do all these things? They're way too hard to fake and cover up that stuff.
And it's like the logic of people who think this is, so if you watch Jurassic Park,
why would you fake it?
Well, why if you watch, I understand the reasoning because of just because of the temperature of the time.
Cold War.
I understand. I get that. I sort of get that. Just the old espionage. Everything is misinformation. I understand all that. But at the same time, it's almost like the logic of the people who think we didn't go is this. So if you watch Jurassic Park and you watch one of the scenes where the Tyrannosaurus Rex is CG'd, they would say that's proof that the animatronic dinosaur didn't exist. That's their logic.
Yeah.
And it's like the flat earth thing too. It's like, that's a lot. Yeah. Like we got other problems to deal with. There's some things that have been settled. Yeah. Let's move forward.
I just don't think there's much on the moon for us, really. I just don't think, man. It's pretty barren. And it's funny in this one, they show how, man, it's just bleak.
There's actually, there is, but there's actually a type of helium, believe it or not, that is abundant on the moon, which is an amazing energy source. And that's what I mean, besides minerals and stuff. Sure.
Like, it's barren. It's like, and like he explains on the Armstrong Neil, it's like being in the desert in America. It's just like, that's all it is. He's like, it's just nothing. It's, but those poor guys too, real fast. I'll leave it. I didn't know they had to be quarantined for 18 days.
Yeah.
18 days after getting back.
Hey, they saw the green slime. They know what could happen.
They said, we got to make sure you come back with no ick on you.
They saw it, the terror from beyond space. They knew better.
They don't want to know that. So, sorry, Tim, I went a little long on that. I got two more things real brief. I finished up Stranger Things first season.
Oh, okay.
Whatever. I tried the second. I'm still on the second season. I'm probably going to finish it out. but it hasn't really helped my attention that much.
Not quite as compelling as the moon landing.
No, not at all. I enjoyed that thoroughly. Oh man, I had fun watching it. I don't know why, but I just did. It was so fun. And then Tim, this is something that you'll want to speak on. I did get the chance to watch. It was on Hulu, believe it or not. And I know you got me the disc too, but The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then the Bigfoot.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, I watched that over the weekend.
Okay.
I watched it in 2 parts.
Okay.
Good movie. Really
not what you thought, was it?
No, I think it's a little bit too good of a movie for the Bigfoot. I mean, not for Bigfoot, for kind of,
Yeah, it's interesting.
That part was a little hokey, but I still liked it. I mean but like the rest of the movie, like is I guess I'm gonna go out on a limb, but I think it's one of Sam Elliott's finer films, man. I do. I think he's a good actor. Period. Like I could read the phone book and still make it interesting.
Right. But when he has that moment where he just looks at those guys outside and says, I need my car.
I need my car.
I need my car. I mean, that to me was like, there you go. That's the kind of, that's what we're missing sort of.
Yep. Because he was going to give him his money. He's like, I gave my money to a bum, but I need my car. I give you my money, but. Yeah.
Larry Miller as his brother, I thought was great.
I like him. I think they put a little too much makeup on him.
He looks a little pancakey a little bit. Yeah.
But he's a good actor. I like that guy. Thank you.
And I like how they focused in on that more so than the romance between Sam Elliott and his wife and stuff. I like how they didn't do that too much. Anyway, it's a very interesting movie. And that's why I was telling you before, you have to watch it. And now that you've seen it, what would you call it?
Yeah.
And that's what I meant.
Same thing.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I was like, what would you call it? Because I think no matter what you think this movie is, going into it, you're going to be surprised and it's going to be better than you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
No matter what. Believe that. I believe that. And I don't think I'm setting expectations too high.
No.
For it all. The Bigfoot thing to me, the Bigfoot was pretty emaciated. It wasn't a very large animal, but then again, it was sick. And I did kind of like the storyline of that. I even liked the whole thing where they sat down with him explaining what was going on.
Yeah.
And what would it be like? It would be like that.
Right. And I liked his part too. Like Sam Elliott does some knockout, like, Danny Hicks stalking Bigfoot, Quint type stuff in this, where here's a couple times where it's just focused on him.
Right.
And he knocks it out of the park, man. And also, they brought in that one gentleman who was in Band of Brothers, and he plays the guy from the government. I like that guy, and I apologize, I can't remember his name, but to me, he's a fine actor. I like him.
Ron Livingston.
Yeah, and he added a little more levity to it as well, because once he came in and they had that little exchange in his living room, because that could have been hokey as hell. Like you're coming in like, oh, it's the Bigfoot. And I was expecting Sam Elliott like, you guys are crazy. Get out of here. But no, they played it straight and it was good.
And the whole movie.
It was one of my favorite parts of the film.
Because it all hinged on that.
Yeah.
Not the believability, the suspension of disbelief hinged on you being able to take that moment and marry it with the title.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, so that,
and I was just waiting for Sam Elliott just to be like Bigfoot, and just be like, no, this is dumb. But no, it played well. And that's for me was great. I was like, okay, now they care about this, man.
Sure.
Like, and the acting didn't drop because we're talking about Bigfoot. So,
what made it work was Sam Elliott clearly agreed with what they were saying. And what made me think is, wow, that was so cool how they played that, because what it said was, out of everything I've been told by you government spooks, this doesn't surprise me. And I think that subtlety there went so much further than them trying so hard to marry these ideas together. They didn't try hard. They just said, this is what happened to this guy.
Yep.
This is this guy's life. Hitler was a part of it. Bigfoot was a part of it. And so were people trying to steal his car. And so was Love Lost and his brother he's trying to, find commonality with, and all kinds of things. Yeah. And you think you put these in some movies and it's just, a Lifetime original movie.
Yeah.
But the way the way they threw it together, and I thought the World War II stuff looked nice and legit.
Yeah.
It was believable in a story kind of way.
Sure.
If that made sense. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It was good.
Yeah, I did too. I think it might have been a little long, maybe 10 minutes long, because there's a lot of, you feel for Sam Elliott. But like I said, this is a film that's like, if you're going into it thinking you see wall-to-wall action from start to finish, you're not.
Right.
But you're going to see some interesting stuff. You could tell the people making this movie, they got a future, man. I liked what they put on screen.
Mm-hmm.
They made it, the subject matter, it sounds kind of hokey, but then going in, it's not hokey at all, not one bit. And I enjoyed I enjoyed the tempo of it. It wasn't super fast, but I enjoyed it. I guess maybe it might have been my temperament at the time too. A little disappointed in the Bigfoot, but if I hinge my liking on what the Bigfoot looks like in most of these films, you know what I'm saying? So
not too many good ones.
No, very few, like 3, and that's about it. And there's thousands of Bigfoot films out there. So it made me want to watch Sam Elliott's new movie, some hero movie he's in. I enjoyed his performance in this so much. I'm like, maybe I'll take on another Sam Elliott film. I don't know. But
see, maybe maybe want to watch Roadhouse again, but
just so you can see Terry Funk.
There you go.
Terry Funk. Yeah.
So. Well, good, very good. Glad you got to put your eyeballs on that, and I'm glad. Glad maybe someday we'll review it in the future since you got it on disc. And let's get to our official little film for this week, Mr. Ben Harley. I mean, it's not. This isn't a Bigfoot movie, but it's in the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's got some little creeps in it.
Yeah, it sure does. So this is the 1981, believe it or not. Now, this looks like it was shot before that. I didn't really check into that a whole lot.
It has a 70s, late 70s feel.
It really does. It absolutely does. It's The Pit. Now, just to clear everything up for you, it is Canadian.
I realized that at the end. I was watching the credits, and I was like, Timo got me again with another Canadian one.
It was shot in Wisconsin, but it is a Canadian.
It's a Canadian production.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. So let me get you out, movie guy, and give you a short storyline summary deal here for The Pit. All right, here we go. A solitary and strange preteen boy wreaks revenge on his harassers when he makes a disturbing discovery in the depths of a forest. It's a kid who's picked on, sort of. Well, I don't know. He's asking to be picked on. I'm sorry. Okay, look, here's the thing. I know we're in a world right now where bullying is pretty much right next to, I don't know, animal shooters.
Yeah.
And this kid, there's some kids that deserve it, and this kid deserved it. I'm sorry. He deserved it. Had he been in my grade school class, I would pick on this kid. I'm telling you right now. Now, I might not live to see the next day, apparently, according to watching this movie. But I didn't like him. I just don't like this kid at all. So it is a young kid, and his parents go away for a couple weeks on a trip. They have a babysitter they hire come stay with them. Apparently, this isn't the first time. And the little kid has a pit that he takes people he doesn't like to out in the woods that has these... they look like monster teddy bears. They call them troglodytes, a la the movie Trog. But he also has a teddy bear that he talks to that tells him to do bad things. Now, I think that the original script, called for all of this to be going on this kid's mind.
Okay.
Now, I think they did change it, and the troglodytes are indeed real world things, but I believe a teddy bear talking to him might have been the part that they kind of scooted over to be all in his mind. So basically, he's insane, and he's talking to himself through his teddy bear, I think, and he's dragging people or taking people to this pit and throwing them down because he's feeding these things, and the only thing clearly they want to eat is raw meat.
Yeah.
That's all they want to eat. He goes to a butcher shop and keeps buying meat and stuff and throwing it down there. So eventually the weird back and forth between him and his babysitter comes to a head, and then everything falls off the rails for him, basically.
From there,
So now I discovered this movie sometime in the 90s.
Okay.
And I was given a book as a gift that was a cult movie book. And this movie was one of the movies featured in it. And it freaked me out. Why would it freak me out? Because I hadn't seen it.
Sure.
So I got very upset that I had this reference book with movies in it and a movie I hadn't seen.
There was you right off.
Oh, it did. So I immediately went and found it and got it and this and that, and here we are today.
Yeah.
So again, from 1980.
Are you still happy that you did?
Well, let's talk about it. So 81, The Pit. What'd you think, Mr. Ben Harley?
Yeah, it's the first time I've seen this, and I know you and I have kicked it around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And you sent me a little message. You said you're going to hate the kid, but you're going to want to be him. And, and I kind of figured out real quickly on that what you meant. Yeah. But yeah, this kid's a little jackass, man. So this came out in 81, so he definitely deserved the Creep of the Year award for 81, man. Mm-hmm. This kid. And he's just, you're right, because he's just a little punk. Like, now, at first, you did feel a little bad for him because he's trying to make some friends, and there are some other jackasses too that treat him like crap.
Aren't they kind of new to the area? I think he hasn't lived there a long time. Yeah, he found the pit pretty easy, but yeah.
Sure did, yeah. But like, he just, he's trying to make friends, but I know he goes up to one kid and his little girlfriend. He says, hey, it's like, I really want to be part of your gang, or not gang, but little group or whatever, I think it was. And I don't even think he got the whole sentence out, and the kid just punches him in the face. Pow! So like, oh, okay, well, I know where this is going, but, it seems like he's creepy enough already.
Right.
But he's like sort of unhinged, but then it seems like a couple of these things that happen to him just totally make him come unhinged. Now, like, I thought the whole idea of the pit and the monsters and the forest was pretty cool, but I didn't really understand the teddy bear so much. And so to me, it seemed like, well, maybe that was supposed to be the main idea, and then they changed it or they added it. It just didn't seem like it fit with the rest of the film.
The way that I read it the first time that I saw it was that he identified the creatures in the pit as basically teddy bears. Because they sort of look like teddy bears when you look down at them, when you see them. And they did. If you notice,
I was wondering, I was like, are they talking to him through the teddy bear? Like, I was, like,
well, that you had a question mark there, but that's why I'm saying I read it as a kid was talking to himself through it. And he just, they were almost like a bad coincidence that this crazy kid who had a disembodied teddy bear spirit,
like the talking to your finger thing, like the shiny.
A little bit like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But when you watch the movie, okay, so there is a part of the movie where the kid, and we're jumping ahead a little bit, but there's a part of the movie where the kid throws ropes down, and he doesn't let the monsters out of the pit, but he gives them a way to climb out. Okay, and this is actually kind of cool because it's the one part of the movie I didn't remember. I thought they stayed down the pit the whole movie. They actually come up from out of the pit, but the reason I don't remember it is that unfortunately they don't hang on that too long. And the reason is because the original monsters weren't deemed frightening enough.
Yeah, they looked kind of googly-eyed. They had weird, kind of Bigfoot-esque.
They were, but when you were watching them out of the pit, they were different monsters than were in the pit. The reason it was edited weird and you were having a hard time seeing it was that they basically edited it together so you really didn't get a real good, clear look at them when they were outside of the pit. When they were inside the pit, you could see them, and they were much more frightening looking. They're much more frightening looking than they were outside.
Red eyes.
Yes, absolutely. So that would sort of maybe explain your teddy bear thing. That's the way I read it when I saw it the first time. To me, it was like, oh my God, he's got monster teddy bears down there. And because they don't talk about, troglodytes or anything else for like 2/3 of the movie or for half of the movie. And they finally start giving you information that, quite frankly, I'm sitting there going, how the hell did you, that was a real leap for the babysitter. Because he's telling the babysitter a secret. He tells her about the pit and the monsters. Now, instead of her just going to look at it right away, she argues with him ad nauseum about it and finds in a book troglodytes and says, look, they're just fairy tales like fairies and trolls and things like that. And like, no, they're not. They're real. Blah, blah, blah,
so it's just like it.
That's pretty much the setup of it. And there's people that are mean to him in town, but I think what's interesting about this movie is he's not a sympathetic child at all. Like, not even close. As a matter of fact, there's also a little girl who's quite a jerk in the movie, too. That little freckled... God, she was like... With her and that bike reminded me of Lucy and Charlie Brown with the football.
Yeah.
She kept... For some reason, this kid had a hard-on for this girl's bike, and it was a girl bike. And I looked at like, look, man, in 81, I wouldn't have been caught dead on that bike. Wouldn't have been caught dead on that bike. But he's begging her to ride the bike. It's like, I think the family probably had enough money to buy the kid a bike. I don't know.
I think so, too.
But she did stuff like, she had it all taken apart, but it was still sitting there together. And she finally said, all right, you can ride my bike. And he gets on it, and it all like crumbles on him. And she goes, you're a very silly person.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, time out. What did you say? You know, I'm thinking someone who is a biatch like her is going to have a better insult hurler than you are a funny person. I'm going to tell you right now, the script writer of this movie was not the best connoisseur at hurling insults whatsoever. What the fuck? As a matter of fact, the scriptwriter wasn't really good at presenting you believable actions by humans.
No,
I mean, it's like, what the hell did
the scripts, period.
This, you have to imagine the world as a Saturday morning cartoon land in order to think that there's a suspension of disbelief in this movie. There is that. Nobody acts normal. I'm going to backtrack. We did say it was Canadian, so I covered this, right?
Yes.
Okay, I covered all this. It was Canadian. All right, very good, very good. Shot in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, yet still Canadian bacon. We still got Canadian. So, But the kid is a little creep, and you can't wait to see her.
Oh, my God. Yeah, he was all like... And the thing is, he's such a little perv, too. Like, well, you know what? I can't blame the little guy. I mean, you know, like, I was thinking to myself, this kid's supposed to be like a troubled youth, and he's got these issues, and you know, his dad obviously knows he's something, because the one time he went under the table and he was looking up somebody's skirt, and I'm like, so you're going to leave him with this pretty, very beautiful, especially for that time period, you know, like, very beautiful woman, you know, and you're going to leave her, this kid with her? Like, no, man. And boy,
they know people disappear around them, and they kind of ignore it, so they can go off on their vacations, I guess. They just ignore it, Yeah,
don't worry about it. We'll take care of it when we get back from vacation, man. Like, so this kid, I was like, this kid is the ultra creep, man. Like, he goes, and he's not a good actor, but yet he kind of is. Like, he sometimes, but I'm like, he'll go from like little creepy innocent boy to like really weird, like weird stuff. I'm like, but it's not really like well acted. It's just weird.
The kid played by Sammy Snyders. He played Tom Sawyer on the Huck Finn and His Friends television series back in '79.
Oh boy, okay.
So and then he never acted again, and is a dance instructor, of course. But he is awkward. I mean, but it works. You're right. It works for him as character. I don't like his character, but his bizarre acting does, I guess, lend to it. Now, he does eventually. So the movie is him being creepy toward girls and women. And then when finally they either upset him, when someone upsets him, when someone threatens to be more important to the girl he's obsessing over than himself, for the most part, that's pretty much where he tricks everybody into going out into the woods, and he throws them down into the pit for the troglodytes to eat. Now he finally, of course, now this is not much of a spoiler, but he finally gets the babysitter to go look at the pit. Now that's a little bit more of an accident. I don't think he was ready to offer, but he could have helped a little more. Getting that girl out too. He didn't
want her to tell the secret. No. She was like, we got to tell somebody about this. We got to, you know, and So she kind of falls in.
Right. But what's cool about it is that another thing I did not remember is that then the kid gets haunted by her, like her specter, a la American Werewolf a little bit. Which is pretty interesting because it puts the kid even on edge. What did you do? It puts him on edge real bad. And so he starts... I won't say making mistakes, but he starts getting really freaked out by it. Look, the 70s into the early 80s were a fucking weird time. I mean, it gives now a run for its money. It really did. I mean, we're in the middle of like weirdness right now, but it's like, yeah, but when you look back at the 70s and it does give now a run for its money. No one, as if you get to a point, I think, where we all want to be progressively minded people, right? We don't want to be the ogre in the back, still wondering where our black and white antenna television is, right? Okay. But again, you also are like, okay, but we need to rein this in and let common sense rule the day. And this is right in that period where we're waiting for common sense. And that's what you get with this movie, because it's almost as if the little kid is clearly being creepy and clearly being criminal, but everyone wants to look the other way because they don't want to bully a little kid.
Yeah, and then there's a part where he makes a tape recording of supposed to be like a kidnapper, and he gets that one lady who's like jazzercise and gets her to take her clothes off. Like,
I just chalked that up to him being intelligent.
Yeah, I was just saying, now that right there, I was like, this kid, man, he's really up in the ante with this one, man.
He's a kid after your heart, Ben Harley.
Yeah, it's like, man, I couldn't change my voice enough back then to sound like,
yeah. Now he is a little he's so perverted and forward that he even makes me a little uncomfortable. I'm like, oh, hey, kid, hold on now. I got the Blu-ray from Kino, and I think the transfer is absolutely fucking horrible. It's a clean print.
It's not real good. It's all right.
Like saturated with like, I don't know, contrast. It's a little blown out a little bit, but it's there. It's all there to see. It's an interesting film. It's interesting. It's like, it's one that you sit there kind of looking at like, all right, I'm gonna get bored here in a minute and turn it off, and it doesn't really happen. Yeah, it just doesn't happen.
No, the kid keeps it creepy enough too, to where it's like. To me, it was a little icky. It really was. But I was like, but then again, like, I was like, the situation this kid's in, I'm like, oh, he's going to get icky. Yeah. But now I don't know about waking up in her room and her top's off and he's staring at her nipple. Yeah. Now that, when she woke up, I don't blame her for being right. She's like, what the hell is going on? Right. At that point, I'd have been like, I think I'm locking you in your room at night.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He's like, I was just watching you sleep. That's creepy.
I was just watching you sleep.
I know.
I was just watching me sleep. I was just looking in your window at night.
Yeah. And what's weird about this, which makes it really kind of creepy, is like he's like 12 or he's born 13.
He's supposed to be 12. The kid playing him was 14 at the time. He's supposed to be 12. Yeah. And it's borderline because he'll say these weird things that are like, wait, that's a little forward, but then if you go back to this little kid. Right. He's playing.
And then it's like, and it's just really weird, makes it even more icky, man. And you feel for the lady that's, right. I would have been like, why did I take this job on?
Yeah. Well, he's using his age. He's using his tweeny kind of age to kind of float back and forth to wherever it serves him the best. And that's kind of creepy too. I always accuse Corey of doing that with his handicap. Don't you use that handicap. You can do that. That you can do, I mean, but that's true. That's kind of what he was doing. Right. So I think that sort of keeps you on your toes a little bit. So even in the kind of the kind of icky parts, you're kind of wondering because you're wondering how far that envelope is going to get pushed, and it causes tension because you're kind of, even though you're like, this is going to be like a monumental moment, but you're waiting for it to kind of go over the top a little bit. And sometimes it sort of pushes, and sometimes it reels it back, and so it keeps you a little off balance during the movie. I think. Yeah, I do wish they would have had more monster, more of the pit, less of the kid. And actually, I think they could have tied in the teddy bear thing better because watching it this time and hearing you be confused by it, I don't blame you.
Yeah, it just didn't. I mean, his head moved one time. They had it show like where his head moved.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah,
and then I'm like, and I was going back and forth. Was he? Yeah, is that his conscience talking? Is the bear? Are these things controlling the bear to talk to him? Like. Because his eyes were kind of red, and like the monster's eyes, the troglodyte's eyes were red.
Kind of like in Magic when something like that happened, like the movie Magic. Yeah. Well, and see, here's the thing too. As I said, the script originally called for this to all be taking place in his mind. I'd like to thank the director, by the way, or whoever it was that made the decision to keep it real. Thank you. That would have ruined the movie for me. Yeah. I mean, I just would have ruined it. I hate that stuff. It's like. But I didn't mind the teddy bear being in his mind, but I think due to where the movie was at point A, by the time they got to point B, the flaw in it, I think, was they didn't explain the bear better. because it kind of floats in and out of relevance.
Yeah.
And you forget about it.
I kind of forgot about him.
Yeah.
And then, but then he came up with the idea about Mrs. Livingston. What about, what's her name, whatever, the lady?
When he
the
took well, no, what about the old, here's the thing too, the old lady in the wheelchair. Now, I knew you were going to like this part.
Yeah.
For some reason. He pushes an old lady in a wheelchair, but he pushes her like through the woods and everything to the pit and drops her in there. Well, that's fine and dandy, except for two things. A, Ben Harley and I have a lot of experience pushing wheelchairs. Yes. B, I have experience, and I don't know if you do or not, but I have experience pushing mobile wheelchairs, like automatic wheelchairs, and they are fucking tanks, man. You can't push them through a rock driveway, much less across a field anywhere.
Yeah, up a mount or up a hill and through a field, and
so the kid must have been a power lifter to be able to do that. So that threw me out of the. But then again, I guess if you don't have a lot of experience with wheelchairs and stuff, you might like let that go.
Right.
But that was hard to. That was hard to look at. That was and I like what he did. Don't get me wrong. It was like, but when he started pushing the wheelchair, I was like, "Where are you going to go, kid?" I mean,
how
you going to get this lady down there?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I was like, it's got to probably be a long ways unless the pit's behind her house.
Exactly. So, but this movie is one of those. I like it. I don't love it, but it's interesting. It's I don't want to say it's interesting like the way that the man who shot Hitler and then killed the Bigfoot or whatever it was. The man who killed Hitler. I can't remember the title. It's odd.
The man who killed Hitler and then the Bigfoot. Okay. I think that's what.
Well, and it's not that kind of movie, but it has that sort of hypnotic thing to it where you just keep watching it because you're not really sure what the hell's going on and where it's going to go. And where it goes, you're okay with. It's like, wow. And I didn't expect the creatures to get out of the pit. And that is a bit of a spoiler, but I think it might cause someone to maybe want to watch the movie more. I'm not going to tell you when and everything else, but
sure.
And it really isn't a major point of the movie, except it kind of is. And what it does is it makes the movie feel like the end should have been twice as long as the beginning part. So they have a long lead up to where the monsters get out of the pit. And when you're watching this, you're like, since the script was all changed around and stuff, I wonder if that was supposed to be the opposite, or when they decided it wasn't all in his mind. I wonder if they threw more of that in with the hunters. Like they kind of have an Angry Villager moment where now this is 1970s Angry Villagers where instead of torches, they all have shotguns and they all have their hunting gear on. Right. So they have a posse now. It's no longer an Angry Villager. Now it's a posse. So they have a little posse going. To go after the animals. And what's also kind of interesting is it doesn't take them too long to accept that they have some strange animals running around.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. I'm okay with that. I was like, I mean, because sometimes a movie will take an entire movie with the hero trying to convince the town that something's going on when everyone's dying around them.
That's hard for me sometimes after a while. It's too much. You're like, oh, God, get on with it. Somebody believe this guy, please.
Yeah. And and the only thing unbelievable is like, somebody would have even thought about questioning the kid.
Yeah.
Somebody would have figured out they're all falling around this kid or whatever, and he's weird. But hey, you know what? It was a movie. It didn't bore me, which was the cardinal sin of B movies. Didn't bore me. Mm-hmm. I thought it was made pretty well. I thought the creatures were done pretty good considering what they were. Right. A little awkward when they got out because of how they had to change the look and stuff. But it's an opportunity for a couple more boobies to be shown real quick.
Yeah, exactly.
When they get out and it gives you a little bit of everything you want in a horror film, a little TNA, a little gore. But it's not like, it's really over the top on the ickiness as opposed to the grossness, if that makes sense.
It's much more icky than it is like, it is. Yeah. It's really, that kid, he amps up the ickiness. Like,
he sure does. Old Tom
he's pretty
Sawyer.
Good at it.
Yeah, old Tom
He's pretty good at it.
Canadian Sawyer. Old Canadian Sawyer. Yeah. So I'm going to give the movie a Grape Ape Up. Regular toward the solid end of Grape Ape Up. Enjoyed it. Little awkward. Some of it's like stitched together. I don't think the guy who made it even made another movie.
Oh, really?
We're talking about people that kind of did it. The kid doesn't act anymore. So we're talking about a really good try. It's a curious movie. It's interesting, if nothing else. It's not boring, and it doesn't cheat. It doesn't cheat. I love the end. I saw the end coming a mile away. As soon as the kid showed up, the kid shows up at his grandparents' house or his aunt and uncle's house, something like that.
Out on a farm.
And as soon as they go, this is, Mary or whatever her name was, she can be your playmate. And she goes, and she, just like the script was written really bad. It was really bad script. It was a good story, but a bad script. And just like the bad script, it held true to form. She's like, let's play. You chase me. Hee hee hee.
Yeah, you're like, uh-oh.
That's not how it goes down, But as soon as he started running in the woods and I started laughing, I was like, I didn't remember that part. And I was like, well, I know where this is going, but we'll leave that. And we'll just leave that alone because that was kind of a fun.
Yeah, I liked it. It was good.
I did too.
It was good.
Yeah, and it was cool. The whole movie sets you up for that.
Yeah.
The whole movie sets you up for the very last part. And that was clever. That was more clever than the rest of it. So Great Ape Up for me.
I think so too.
Yeah. So what do you think?
I think so too. I'm going to give it a Great Ape Up. Not like a huge one, but definitely it was worth seeing.
Right.
I'm glad we watched it,
Finally.
Yeah. Finally. Yeah, we've had it. We've had it on the docket for a little while.
We have. A lot of these movies we're finally getting through them.
That's good though.
Yeah.
No, this was different and I'm glad we looked at it. I really am.
Right. Absolutely. So, all right. Well, 2 Great Apes Up for The Pit from 1981. And let's see here. 2 Great Apes Up for our upcoming Hicks season.
Hicks season. Yeah.
Coming up. We've got October 21st at the Duck Room in Blueberry Hill with Ultraman. November 29th. Black Friday show at the Pageant with the Urge. That's Fragile Porcelain Mice, my band. And then you, I'm sure, have another wrestling event coming up in a month at St. Clement's Hall. So keep an eye out. Do you know the date on that yet, or should we just keep an eye out?
Not yet, but
keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, I'll get you a date here.
All right,
real soon.
To go to Powerbomb Wrestling, they got a Facebook page and a YouTube page, and I think Norm Waymer might have a YouTube page. But go check it out there and go support that. And Mr. Ben Harley, until next week, stay spooky, and we'll talk to you then.
Keep it creepy, people.
You've been listening to the Tim Owen Harley Show, brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com, your affordable one-stop solution to all your screen printing needs.